interested, look down below, click the red subscribe button. Thank you so much. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Shannon Confidential. I am Shannon, your host, and today's podcast is going to be incredibly interesting for more than one reason. Today, we are interviewing Ana Bozovic with Analytics Miami. Now, she does long-term trend analysis for the South Florida real estate market. But let there be no doubt, there is so much more to this woman. She is pretty incredible. She does some pretty intense training with some pretty intense athletes. So she doesn't just have a grip and full knowledge of the South Florida real estate market and has been quoted in many, many publications. She also goes hardcore in her training, but that's the part I want her to tell you about because it's fantastic. This woman is incredible. There's so much more to her. Check out her Instagram page. You'll see exactly what I'm talking about, but I cannot wait for you to meet Ana Bozovic. All right, welcome, Ana Bozovic. Come on, I'm just so excited for everybody to meet you with Analytics Miami. You are a brain when it comes to math and everything you've earned. Just all the stuff that you've earned, all of your acknowledgments, the schooling you've done, what you do, just to me, I find it baffling because math was never my strong part. So for you to have just a wrap around the South Florida real estate and the other stuff that you do, and you've got stuff coming. I mean, you're all over the place. You're incredible. And what you do outside, I told everybody they have to look at your Instagram. They'll get your outside life. But I am not going to talk over your time, Ana. Please tell everybody what you do, why you do it, and we'll go from there.
Sure. Thank you so much. First of all, thank you so much for having me. It's such a pleasure. You have amazing energy. I was so happy when you reached out, and I'm really, really happy to be on your show. Thank you so much. So what I do is the crux of what I do. I launched Analytics Miami about 4 or 5 years ago. And you mentioned math background, all those things. Really, at a fundamental principle, what I try to do with Analytics Miami or the other stuff that I do, everything, is to cut through the noise, because so much of what people hear in the media across topics, be it real estate, be it whatever, is a bunch of noise and fear and short-term driven stuff. And the most important thing to communicate to people and have them see is what the cycle is. What are the fundamental drivers? What's pushing things? What are the patterns? What are the real things they should keep their eye on? And it's kind of, that's why I say bringing truth and clarity in market cycles, because that's really the key. Things do not exist in vacuums. They all come from somewhere. And if you can show people the context, then they can look and observe and learn and not just panic or fear or have some crazy response, which is often, I feel, what the end result of how news and information is delivered by all press. So I try to just present a nonpartisan, objective, non-fear-based, context-driven view of what's happening in the world in a way that people can use.
Yeah, and you say it like, I got up and I took a shower, duh, but right. You really do when you say take out the noise. Just in our intro call, I thought, oh, okay, I would understand her if I went to her I went to Ana to try to understand the market or anything, because you kind of were just like, hey, this is how it goes. So when you say take out the background noise, I get that.
Correct. And also there's real power in simplicity. It's easy to confuse people. It's easy to confuse people and try to make yourself sound smart. Use big words, use concepts, they might not know about, historic references they might not know about. It's super easy to sound ivory tower and confuse people, and out of your own ego, try to make yourself seem smart and leave people going, oh, well, I can't argue with him or her because I really don't know what they said. But like, what have you done? What have you achieved? So like, do you need that pat on the shoulder? Like, you're that insecure, you need to confuse people, right? No,
I love you.
Like, I'm serious. So there's real, it is much more challenging to make something that's very multifaceted and complex simple. And that's also nice.
I mean, I looked at your website and I have to tell you, I'm not an analyst, and I'm certainly not, and again, math was not my strong part. So when I'm looking at all your charts and I'm just trying to get a feel for, the depth of what you do, to me, it's a different language. How do you explain, like you say there's patterns and there's history and that, tell me how you see it. How just, it's just a different world to me.
Super good question. So whenever I look at things, I always try, you always want to start, look, it's like writing a proof. I studied very weird math and physics when I was a kid. And when you write proofs, and they're all very abstract exercises. So math, people say math actually is not numbers. Numbers are what your calculator does. That's arithmetic. I'm actually very bad with numbers. When you talk about math, it's like space-time physics, things like this. Like it's all stuff in your mind. It's all abstract. And no two people are going to have the same way of getting to it, right? You can have 6 geniuses in the room. They're going to have different ways. It's not like adding numbers where there's an answer. It's all an abstract exercise. And when you start these things, you start by defining your space. You need to get to the fundamental truth, the principles that we can all agree upon. And from there, you build your case. And it's the same thing when you look at something that's happening in a market. You can't just go like, you shouldn't, people do it all the time, but you shouldn't go just 10 degrees out from what's driving it and say, hey, look, it's purple. Okay, well, why is it purple? And what was it before it was purple? And where is it going? But to identify that, you have to be able to drill down to what the fundamental driver is. So that's what I do. So when I look at things, it's you always want to say, okay, what's driving this? Where is it going? What are the fundamental principles? And then you start really abstract. Like when I talk about market cycles, people look at history in a very short window. They don't know any history. And they think that they just don't, it's the truth. And the news doesn't help. And everything, they approach stuff like the present is sacrosanct, which is why I would get annoyed by the whole going back to normal. Like history never goes backwards, ever, ever, ever. Like there are few things in history that never change. They are human nature. Human nature stays the same. Let's not kid ourselves, right? We're the same animal. We just have cooler toys, right? That's it. But humanity, okay, yeah, that's it. We're the same animal. And then change. And change, you could argue, is just human nature. You know, it's herding effects over time, which is why history has the same cycles all the time. And that's what drives us today. That's it. It's human nature and change. And you have to keep that in mind when you look at the world and cut this crap of like going backwards, going all of that. So you start with that, and then you try to see where you are in the cycle of empires, the cycle of monetary and debt policy. I talk about that a lot because monetary and debt policy is actually what drives just about every consumer behavior we see. But no one knows what that is or talks about it. They argue about the president. The Federal Reserve is far more important. And that's what drives all that. So it's like you cut the noise and you want to see like where, also I talk about like, you don't want like data dump people. You want to see like where charts are at extremes, where there are anomalies, where things are being pushed, because that's where you're going to have the stressors and probably the fractures and the change. So you basically just want to look at it, see what's happening, where we are, what's an outlier, what's interesting, and present it within a context that makes sense. Not just like, look at that. Okay, what does that mean?
Yeah. So, okay, what would be your typical client that would contact you for your Analytics Miami to help them with what they need from you? What would be your typical client?
Good question. So it's been evolving over time. It's a number of things. This is actually tying into a few things that I'm kind of launching now that are coming up that are sort of categorizing, but like taking all those contact points and then channeling them properly. So basically, I've been in the press quite a bit on the residential markets down here because I started putting out data on that a few years ago, largely because this is pre-COVID market, it's a different market. And I was disenchanted by what I had seen in the press about the residential markets. It was it's the mainstream brokerages. It's the worst example of inside trading. That's what it is. And I would look at the data and I was like, really? Are we looking at the same market? And I started putting that stuff out. And so I get a lot of people that contact me. It's like different categories of people. So I work with individuals who contact me about the markets, about residential stuff, the ones who are coming here, but I'm very, very selective about residential. Basically, it has to be like men with cash because they're coming here. They want my expert. No, I'm being straight because I'm not going to, they come with me. They're like, hey, I'm relocating, need this and that. Where should I live? They don't want to, deal with what they perceive perhaps slightly correctly as a Miami real estate agent, right? So they want to be told what to do. And so I get that. I also work with like institutions, large groups that need some guidance on how they're going to acquisition consulting, where they're going to go, what they're going to do, what their best course of action is. I also do some stuff in hospitality, which is one of the things I'm launching. So it's been like Analytics Miami kind of, like it's like you launch something, you put it out in the wild, and then
it evolves.
What comes in. Yeah. And so now it's like, that's like the core, and the stuff that I'm putting out, it's kind of like channeling these different things into their appropriate sections.
Okay. Now I know I know you've been quoted and published clearly people respect what you have to say, but you also speak. You've spoken at events. What type of events do you speak at, and what information are you bringing to them?
Okay, yeah, super good question. So most recently, I'm a governor of the Association of Miami Realtors. We're the biggest association in the country, and the association here really does an amazing job. They do a lot of great work for the market and for the agents in terms of education resources, everything. It's remarkable what they provide, and they hold these great events. So the most recent one I did was right towards the beginning of the summer at the Hard Rock Hotel. It was the big, I'm gonna mistake the name, but it was like a big annual real estate convention thing. All the people come from Florida. And that was, they wanted me, it was funny, it was very loosely defined. They're like, we want you to give us the market forecast. And I'm like, what does that mean, guys? And they're like, tell us what's happening.
Yeah, so the market forecast, it's a seller's market, it's a buyer's market, but you're way more than that.
There's way more than that. So what I did was, all right, like the numbers themselves, it's like 5 minutes. It's boring. It's like, here's a chart. Okay, here was the Q2. It was right after Q2 ended, right? So it was like, here's the Q2 number. Here's this, here's that. Okay, cool. Here are the numbers. But like, okay, that's not that interesting. So actually how I started it was I wanted to give them all, it was all industry people. And I had this thesis that what's happening in our market, the major influx of cash, which is very, very real, is bigger than COVID and just begun. Because, again, the whole going back to normal things never go backwards. And to sort of get that message across, I started off with like slides that were all about the cycle of empires, monetary policy, where we are, where things change, and then the actual marketing information was at the very end. But I need them to understand where we were in the cycle and how what's happening is bigger than COVID just begun. And actually the biggest point that I wanted to communicate to them, which I think is underappreciated, why is this bigger than COVID just begun? Well, COVID sort of created fundamentally a break in habits, right? Because we had a full stop event to varying degrees across the globe, but basically a full stop event. And humans are creatures of habit. So up until COVID, we've largely been living in a post, what I call like the 20th century world, the post World War II world, right? If you look at our cities, New York City, all these places that have these densities, these office buildings, infrastructure, all these habits and these structures, jobs, whatever, were all developed before the internet. How we went to work, our schedules, everything. The internet came at the very end of the 20th century. It did not come super fast like we have it now. It came piecemeal, incrementally, and it was incorporated into existing habits. No one said, hey, we have the internet, let's like rethink how we go work and live. No, it was incorporated, it was used, right? So now we have this full stop event for long enough to allow new habit formation. At the same time, we have feeder jurisdictions like Newark, California, whatever, that have what I call negative momentum patterns, higher and higher taxes, what people perceive as infringements upon rights, all these things. And the same time that we have this habit shift, we have jurisdictions sort of being hostile to people with capital, but people with capital can take advantage of the habit change. And
100%.
Right.
Some of the businesses in COVID actually probably made more money than they've ever made.
1,000,000%, yes. And so you have all these people now so basically COVID accelerated a significant percentage of the population into like the internet age. Now they're reaching, like,
yes.
It's never going back. It's never going back. And look, it's not dramatic. It's not like New York is dead, but it's a shift in focus. Like before New York City was the capital of the world post World War II, it was London. Before London, it was Amsterdam. Those cities are still there. They didn't go away, but the focus shifted. And the same thing is happening now. And we're in South Florida, we're one of the places that's on the receiving end of this new, I think it's going to be more of a multipolar reality that's happening, but we're in the receiving end. And that's not going to stop. I think it's just begun.
So that's good.
Yeah.
I would like to say that's good, because I would tend to think if this change of habit also means incredible growth, because as people change their habits, don't get me wrong, new habits are created. Yeah. And you have to, there's businesses that will sustain the new habit.
Yes. This is the nature of the world, 1,000,000%. Change fosters growth, creativity, all these things. Look, I'm very optimistic on the trajectory of humanity. Of course, there are challenges at any given point, right? Yes. Would you want to live 100 years ago? No, not so much, right? Like, I think we're super lucky to be alive right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're like my grandmother is 98. She was born in 1923.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and she's like 100% with it still. It's super cool.
Well, you definitely have her brain. My God, girl. And I think you speak 6 languages. You are incredibly intelligent.
Oh,
and you talk like, it's this little bit of that,
I know. I'm like,
it's so easy. Just listen.
You're so funny.
I'm just, so yeah. So you're talking about the South Florida real estate, but it's not, I want to make it clear, you're not talking homes, you're talking like the workforce and the entire platform of the South Florida real estate, not just what's this home going for in Fort Lauderdale compared to Miami.
No, I mean, you could, but it's all connected. It's all connected. So all of that macro, the macro drives the micro. And so to effectively dig into a detail, you have to know what universe it's living in, like what's driving it. Otherwise, you're kind of like being a little bit myopic. It's, if you understand the drivers of what's happening, you can apply those principles to something more specific, because that specific thing does not live in a vacuum. It lives within those driving forces.
Okay. And you wouldn't, as much as you're analyzing and going into the depth of all of the numbers and running the numbers, you wouldn't consider yourself a financial advisor.
No. Oh, no.
No, you go a completely different direction.
Yeah, advisors tell people to do with their money on a general level. Oh, no.
You whole different level. I clarity what you do, so there's no mistake.
Yeah.
You know, when someone comes to you, you're zoned in and they know exactly what they're coming to you for.
Yeah, correct. I try to make sense of what's happening in the world, basically, at a broader level. So I'm part of a think tank in London too, where we talk about geopolitics and things like this. I mean, look, the world's a fascinating place. We're living right now, and I think that, you know, the world shifts like every 80, 100 years. Usually it's because of world wars or something, but, you know, in many ways, our debt situation right now is behaving like it did post World War II. So this is kind of that period. And so I think this next 5 to 10 years is like the shift of our lifetimes in many ways.
How many people just stop you to just pick your brain, to just try to get an insight so they could do better later?
This happens more and more.
I'm telling you, I'm like, okay, before I do that, I gotta call in.
Fighters.
I mean, it's just unbelievable. So what's a typical day for you?
Oh my goodness, they're all different. It's every day is different. I read a lot. I'm very lucky to have some amazing people that I brainstorm with, you know, speak with. But honestly, it's very, very different. Every day is different. Like it's always depends if I'm putting something out, if I'm shooting a video. Every day is different. What really keeps me sane is I train a lot. I mentioned, and that's always given me that's like my meditation time. It gives me structure. I go so every day I train. But other than that, it varies so much. Huh?
I said, yes, you do.
Yes, I do.
Yeah. So that was one of the things that you mentioned when we did our intro call was, you know, it's your mindset, whether you're in, you know, you're working or you're training. Yeah. If you have that strong presence of mind, that strong mindset, it all does sync. And a lot of what you said, you know, your success as an athlete and your success in the world and your success in business is so tied together in that mindset. And very rarely do you hear people acknowledge being, you know, strong in the mind at work or in this, and then realize just how that overlaps in the physical world. Yes. And you were like, bam, right on it. And you said training. So I am going to you need to expand on that, because you're training and you say you go Zen. No, you're not doing yoga. Training.
I train with world-class professional male fighters, but it's
that's training. Yeah, and you're not a name person, but you got some top name athletes that you've been in the ring with and fought with and all the stuff you do.
Yes. It's when I say it's the mind, everything starts in the mind. And school I never liked school. Like, school endeavors to teach you what to think, but not how to think. And I was always just lucky that I'm just a great athlete. It's just genetic. You're good athletes. You can go play with the boys. You can compete, all those things. And world-class coaches. I've had great luck of having, you know, numerous world-class coaches, and they through sports you learn how to think, and how to think is the most important thing, because that's
time. You got to think on your feet.
Yes, and it allows you to be not reactive, right? Because when you're in a real-time situation, and especially in our world today in America, life is so easy. It really is. I don't mean to put down anyone's problems, but historically speaking, our lives are so easy and so safe and so everything. And on top of that, people are like, be safe, participation medals, all these things. And so most people do very few things that are real-time, that have effects real time, or they have to stay mentally strong and like not go cry in a corner. It's that, you know, it's the Mike Tyson quote. Everyone has a plan to like get punched in the face, right? So it's the truth. And so when you're in a real time, no, but it's true. Like, you're in a one-on-one sport, something, you have to be so mentally strong that you believe and know your outcome before you do it. It's won before the fight.
I love that.
And it's the same thing in life. You go into everything, you have to like, not bullshit. You have to truly know your outcome before you do it. Like, you can't be like, oh, I wonder how it's going to go. No, like, you have to know. You have to, and sports makes that in a sense simpler because we have easier metrics. You're like, okay, I'm running a race. I also ran. All right. Like, there's the finish line. That's your goal. You know where you're going. But in life, if you don't know where you're going, how can you do anything? You're like, you're floating.
Yeah.
And so high-level sports teaches you to focus on. Also, training with people or just knowing anyone who's the best in the world at what they do, it opens your eyes to what's possible because all the limitations are here. And people who are world-class in what they do, it wasn't handed to them. Almost none of them have stories where it's like the parents were great. No, they didn't have parents. Like, no one did anything for them. It's all like created here. And that shows you how quickly you can change your life. And it shows you how your past does not matter. Your past does not matter. It's all today, and it's all in your mind, and it opens your eyes to what's possible. And that's what that type of training does for you. And again, I have, some very good friends who are multiple time, like my friend Babu Palomino, 5-time MMA world champion, and he articulates it well. And he told me once, he said, Ana, like in your corner, and he meant like in your corner in the fight, in your corner, your people in life. He says, you can't have anyone in your corner introducing negativity.
So true.
And I'm like, yes, because that creates the possibility in your mind. It's all created here. And so what is worrying? Worrying is like negative future creation. The future is unknown. So why don't we make up a good one? Like, why are you going there?
I have goosebumps. I love that. You're worrying about something that hasn't even happened. So why are you wasting time worrying about it? It hasn't even happened. You're going to make it happen.
Exactly.
Because your mindset's going to guide you right to it.
Exactly. And so I have great luck to have these guys. So basically I train with them, I do track, we do like 40 minutes in the soft sand like maniacs. Listen, people see these pictures, I get no girl pass, I don't get special treatment, I don't like talk, like we jump in the ocean, we run in the sand, and I love it. It's great. It's awesome.
Yeah. So when you're training, you're not training because you're training because you're trying to get to become an Olympic athlete. You're training your body just as much as you're out there training your mind at that very moment.
Yeah, correct. Actually, it's both. So like I ran Masters track. I came in second in the country in the 400 meters in my age group a few years ago that I did it because I love competing and stuff. I like one-on-one sports more, but I love competing. But no, you're right. It's both. Actually, it's all of the above. Even if you are training for an event or not, it's actually training for life. It's training your mind because listen, you get out there, like I've had days where I'm so tired. Like I moved a few months ago. I was so tired. And one of my friends, if I come up, we have to go to the track and do whatever we're doing the last week. I was so tired, I could barely walk to the track. I was that tired. But for real. But you get there and you know what? Okay. You're like, all right, we're going to be here for 15 minutes doing some rounds of something. You know what? It's not going to kill me. I'm not going to die. So you literally say that and you put it out of your mind. You don't tell anyone you're tired and like, you just do it. And
second wind, here it comes.
You just, in your mind, you're like, I'm just doing it. It's not going to kill me. Okay.
God, and you are just a powerhouse.
You apply that to everything. And that's what it is. But as far as training, I recently started doing jujitsu. Yay.
Why not?
I know. She's like, no, I love it because I fenced when I was younger. I love one-on-one sports. And we have the good luck. There's a wonderful man named Mario Sperry who has a studio downtown. And he's like a living legend of the sport. Like, I don't know, he's in his 50s. I mean, but he has like, I don't know, 7, 8 stripes black belt. He was like fighter of the decade. He's like a living legend and he has a studio downtown.
What's the name of the studio?
Mario Sperry Jiu-Jitsu.
Okay. Oh, all right. I'll plug them. And everything that Ana mentions throughout this podcast, the different companies that she's founded, the ones that are up and coming, where she's training, all of that. I will make sure her social media, you are completely linked up. You can reach her so you could find all of this stuff out, alone with Ana, but I'll make sure you have everything that she's talking about. So go ahead. I'm sorry. Just go ahead.
Gym on the beach is my house. That's where I train with everyone. Fifth Street Gym. That's where Muhammad Ali trained back in the day, and the legacy continues today with Coach Dino. And that's like my family. That's my house. Like I love that place. The jiu-jitsu is new, but yeah, Fifth Street Boxing Gym on the beach continues that legacy. Amazing place. And so that's where I train. But then jiu-jitsu I started recently, and I love it. I love it. So yeah, we're very lucky to have Mario Sperry downtown too. I go there. It's awesome. So I'm going to compete in that too. It's going to be great.
You're going to do a jiu-jitsu competition?
Yeah, it's coming.
That's awesome. I would love to. Jiu-jitsu is more fighting. Not to say like karate's not fighting, but it's more realistic. Like
yes,
get in on each other. Like you could.
There's no striking. You don't punch. That's more MMA, but it's like you can apply pressure, push, but there's no punching or strike. I don't like punching people. It's not my thing. Yeah, no.
Sorry.
It was evolved from judo, as far as I understand, around 1915 or so. And the Brazilians adapted it to be street judo because 90% of fights, they say, end up on the street. And so it starts starting with like judo principles of takedowns, whatever. And then it evolved, and I don't know. It's great. We have all these great guys here, these crazy Brazilians who do it here. So I'm in.
So what would a competition for you be? What only thing I can picture, and I know it can't possibly be this, is like Karate Kid. You know, what's like when you're going to do a competition, what is it? And I say that because I have no idea. So I'm asking, like,
you wear like the gi, you wear like the white thing, you know, and like you get there and they stand. Like they just had Pan Am games recently. I was watching it. And they start standing, they do takedowns. I think the rounds are 5 minutes. There's a point system, and
5-minute round. That's exhausting.
Just one. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'll come watch. I think it's incredible.
And all the crazy friends I train with, they all have black belts in jiu-jitsu, many of them, so it works out. It'll be fun.
Yeah, I'd be like, yeah, we're going to go out and we're going to be fine tonight. We have nothing to worry about.
You should see my parties.
Oh my God, I see the photos. You guys everybody's just ripped, like so physically fit.
Yes, and they're dangerous. No, I'm kidding. They're nice guys, but
you're protected, or they are.
No sick man approaches me. There you go. That's it.
Not happening. But I think you could take care of yourself.
Yeah, I think so. And geez, I'll be like, and look at my Instagram. You mess with me.
As I said, just take a look at her Instagram. You'll see what this woman does outside the office. It's pretty incredible.
It all overlaps because high success in business, sports, whatever you do, it's the same mindset. It's the same mindset. It's that cutting of the noise and having a 100% true belief in your own outcome. And that's that parallel.
I love it. I love it. If everybody went into life like that, be a happier people in this world.
Correct. And it's also about like letting go of fear. Think of how many people.
Mind killer.
Yes. People make so many decisions out of fear of what will happen if they don't, rather than because they want to.
And again, you don't know. So why are you worried about it?
Yes.
Worst case, it doesn't work out and you're back where you started. Try something new. You lost nothing.
Correct. And we live in America 2021. Like you can get a job at Starbucks. You're going to have electricity. You know what I mean? We're so removed from survival needs compared to what people used to have.
Yes. And you were saying that, the overlap between the mindset in sports and in business world, and going back to you in your financial world, you have Analytics Miami, and then I saw you are also Liquidity Solutions. And what is that?
I did a soft launch on that a few weeks ago when I spoke in some forum on hospitality investing. So Liquidity Solutions we're calling it institutional size capital, but it's private capital. Just a lot of it, which means that there's no committee, there's no whatever. It's liquid. It's easy capital, and this is capital that we're allocating, that we have ready for allocation. Along this thesis of shifts in the world, because while I'm very positive on the general trajectory of humanity and all this stuff, COVID is functioning as a smokescreen to a very untenable debt situation. We have sovereign debt, corporate debt, junk debt, whatever it is, at all these crazy all-time highs. And what the exit from that is, I don't know, but they're going to be bottlenecks. Maybe it's incremental. I have no idea. But we're going to have hiccups moving forward the next 5-10 years, big time on that in some way. Who knows how it plays out? So basically, we have these shifts happening in the world. This is a lot of capital, private capital, allocated towards opportunistic lending or acquisitions in areas that we think are going to benefit from the shift that's happening. But whatever entity it is that needs short-term need has some short-term needs, so it's just cash to apply.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That's again.
Money to play with. It's going to be fun.
Yeah, because there's, as much as you're watching it, this is what I love about humanity. They never cease to amaze.
Yeah.
And something that hasn't even been, and this is the nerdy part in me. Something that hasn't even been thought of is right outside of our grasp, and we're about to learn something completely new.
I agree.
Because of the shift we're going through.
I agree.
And I'm just like, I think it's incredible. I mean, it wasn't that long ago that nobody ever had a meeting by video across the world. No one even thought of it. But when it happened, it was like, okay. Yeah. I can't wait for that next thing, next thing that happens, because people shifted and changed and patterns changed, and we have to evolve.
We have to. Correct.
And that brings incredible creativity into the human mind. And I love that.
Exactly. Exactly. Me too. And just a question of recognizing where the flow is going and putting yourself to where it's going.
That's awesome. And you also have,
The new thing coming out is MiamiDealSheet.com.
deal sheets. That's it. What
Yes,
is that?
Okay, yeah, this is kind of fun. So remember I told you that people contact me for resi stuff because of residential stuff because I've been in the press so much for it, right? And I gave this whole talk at the Hard Rock and how what's happening here is bigger than COVID and just begun and blah blah blah. Anyway, so basically and I believe that 100%, like it's the truth. And so I'm putting out a report right now. It'll be out to the press probably next week on updated data and then sort of just not refocusing, but refining the message that I gave at the Hard Rock and making it like an online presentation. And then I'm launching something called MiamiDealSheet.com where I'm channeling those people who contact me saying, hey, like, where do I live type of thing. I'm bringing in some people and we're channeling them. And we're basically, we're gonna just help people. It's kind of not that fascinating, but it's a simple model. We're just gonna take all that press and help people who are moving here find a place to live, but we're being very it's like very selective because we can't let this take over. So it's going to be like 3 people a month, 3 million plus people who are relocating.
Okay. Now you're saying people come here. So I have a question.
Yeah.
I may not have any answer for this. I'm just going to throw it out there because you're talking about people moving here. With the unfortunate incident that happened with the high rise that came down, is that a huge factor now with, purchasing buildings, building buildings, the buildings that are being built, what they go for, has that mindset changed a little bit because everybody had that horrific wake-up call?
No, by the way, that was ridiculous. I know the BBC asked me, they were like, was that global warming? I said, no, that was incompetence, negligence, and corruption. That's exactly what that was, Marie. It's no, okay, so our housing stock, especially what was Surfside, but Surfside behaves the same as Miami Beach that way, is that there's this great divide between old and new construction. And the city, these Miami Beach and Surfside, are, in my opinion, kind of in denial about the viability and attractiveness of older housing stock. And there's been a performance divergence going on for a while. So the people who are coming from our feeder markets, the people with capital, intellectual capital, money capital, or both, whatever, they were by and large, they were never looking at old crappy buildings. I don't want to call it crappy, but obviously it was crappy, it felt. They were never looking at old crappy buildings, right? They're looking at new construction, newer things. So they were never in that market. Now Miami Beach is full of old little buildings, some of which may be questionable. But again, the influx of capital into this region, those people are not looking at those properties. So the biggest percentage increases of activity have been in million plus. For condos around 750 or so, but just the older product, no, they're not looking at older product. This is going to further exacerbate the performance divide between old and new. And also, hopefully, if there's any positive, one, we make sure this never happens again. It's a wake-up call, like, hello, there were red flags forever on that thing.
Yes.
It didn't happen out of nowhere. So, I mean, how does a building fall in America in 2021? That's insane. So this never needs to happen again. And then also, hopefully, this ushers in this new reality where they loosen up their zoning, all this other stuff that makes it impossible to build in Miami Beach. It's very difficult to build in Miami Beach and allows for people to buy out these older buildings and build something new that works for the modern world. Look, the future is coming to Miami, and Miami Beach is like, and Surfside are lagging because there's no inventory. Miami's building cool stuff because they're on board. They have great zoning. Suarez is killing it. He's doing an amazing job getting the word out with tech. His whole "how can I help" tweet that went viral, everything else. So Suarez, like, thank God for Suarez. And also, I always keep saying, thank God that people from our feeder jurisdictions don't realize that Miami Beach, Surfside, and so forth are distinct municipalities. Like, I'm from New York. I thought they were boroughs. Like, New York has Brooklyn, the Bronx, whatever. Mm-hmm. I didn't realize they were distinct cities. So we're all benefiting from the light that Suarez is shining. And he is. He's ushering in the future. And meanwhile, Miami Beach and Surfside, we have crumbling housing stock that nobody wants to live in. Like, are you serious?
Yeah, that is the mindset of the rules that are in place that just they too now have to evolve to
yes
grow.
Exactly. And then they have to, because look, you tell someone that their building is unsafe. Okay, well, thank God you found out, because nobody should die from that. Okay, but now you told them that it's unsafe and they have to move. All right. These are not super fancy buildings. So probably this is the largest asset that person or that family owns, right? So now you've told them that their home and their largest asset are worthless and they have to go. Where do they go? Okay, so their best solution is to make the land buildable and have someone buy it and buy them out and then they can go get someplace safe and nice to live, and the city gets something new. That is the best case. For that to happen, the city has to work with developers, change zoning policies, all that stuff, because it's very, very difficult to do anything.
And get rid of the corruption and the greed that stops them in the first place.
And the NIMBYism, these people who are like, oh, we have to preserve it, preserve our history. I'm like, what are you talking about? The city was built 100 years ago. No, like really, like, and if you look at the last 100 years in Miami Beach, every like decade or two has been drastically different than the one before it. There was like a boom in the 20s, and it kind of subsided with the stock market crash in the 30s, and then stuff was built in the 50s, and then these Cubans came, and these other Cubans came, and then it evolved, and then it was fashion, then it was this, then it was that. So like every 20 years have looked very, very different in Miami Beach. So why are we pretending that there's one history here, or that any one reality is the difference? This is like, it's change. Miami Beach changes rapidly. Like,
yes, it does. Yes, it does.
Why do you want to preserve these crappy old buildings that nobody wants to live in? I mean,
yeah, especially now. So
yeah.
I'm in downtown Fort Lauderdale, and when it happened at Surfside, there was a obvious tension rise for everybody that lived in a high rise going, well, wait a second, we never even walked our parking garage, and oh my gosh, what does a leak mean? It just was an eye opener that people are creatures of habit. You don't pay attention to this. It's not part of what I do, blah, blah, blah. Something happens, suddenly, change your habit. You got to go a different direction.
You know, buildings falling like that, it felt like you're watching a weird movie, right?
Yeah.
Happen. It's crazy.
That's why it was so shocking, because it was what we all know. We've all seen it, and we're going, wait, this is actually happening. This is when you're watching something happen that fundamentally should not happen. It just stops you in your tracks, and you just go, what?
Yeah.
It can't be. It doesn't happen like this. That's the movie. No. This is real life.
No. Exactly. So again, yeah, hopefully plus side, it never happens again. And they make some changes and allow for Miami Beach and Surfside to be part of the future, because that's the one thing that if you can't innovate housing stock, and you can't, look, these old buildings, they have no amenities, they have small windows. They were built in a different era. They have, and now for the
they had their time.
They had their time, and now they're building cool stuff in Miami for all these people who are coming to work and participate in our economy. Younger people, they don't want to live in that, and we know this because I did a study like in 2018. I presented to the city where I isolated for the Flamingo Historic District the median average pricing of that compared to the city, the city at large, other parts of the area, and it underperformed to such a drastic level that it's like, hello, this is just look. The median rents were within 5% of Alapata. Seriously. And I showed this to them, and the historic preservation people got mad at me. And I said, well, listen, if there's an error, please tell me, and or put out your own numbers. And they never did.
And this, you know, because with COVID and people shutting down offices or just changing the way they do work, where there was a very long period of time that, you know, working from home was completely unthought of. Who could possibly be good and beneficial to the workforce if they're working from home, because everybody thought you're in pajamas and lazy and you can't be productive. Until you had to actually work from home and people realized you can be productive. So then people started reducing their office space, because then people could work from home, because some businesses do not require you to be in front of people at all times. Just the fact. So now you have to look at people going, all right, they had this job and now they have the ability to work remotely or work from home, maybe because they had to work at this office in this state. Now they can come to Florida. They make a decent income. They want to live in a beautiful place because now they can work from home, but then the buildings aren't updated. So you're kind of selling yourself short. There's a whole evolvement of people that can now move and live in different areas that they may not have been able to do before, simply because remote working is accepted now.
1,000,000% true, which is also why we've seen growth in larger units. Also, people are looking for that extra room,
office,
that space, 1,000,000%. And also, interestingly, this Miami area has a relatively small office footprint, obviously, compared to more established markets like New York City and so forth. But that actually, interestingly, is kind of a positive right now, because the city is being built and does not have a large established office footprint. It allows for us to build office that is shaped around this new reality and this new future of what COVID requirements are, windows that open, all sorts of simple things. Retrofitting a building with windows that open is prohibitively expensive. It's colossal. And now we actually can build, as a growing city, for the ground up for this new post-internet, post-COVID reality, which a city like New York can't do actually as easily.
Yeah, I find it just remarkable, and you have to pay attention to all of this because that's your platform.
Yeah.
You got to know exactly what's going
What's
on. And
happening in the world? I know.
wow, there's no dull moment for you. So I have, so you have the new companies are coming.
Yeah.
Obviously, a lot of change is going to be coming
Yeah.
for you, your people. What's next? I know you're doing the speaking, the companies. Like, what's in your immediate future?
Right. So those are things that's now Deal
prizes?
Street I'm excited about. Deal Street is we're going to highlight. So basically every week I'm going to pick the best deals, and then we're going to do a fun thing where we highlight local businesses every week too, and also tie it into what's happening in the city. So it's all part of this thesis of people moving to Miami, and like here it is. Here's awesome stuff. It's like a fun project. We're going to highlight something fun every week, pick the best deals, tie it into the market, stuff like that. So I'm excited about that. We're going to get that going. And then I'm excited about this report that I'm putting out about what's happening in that kind of thesis of why what's happening is bigger than COVID just begun. So that's coming out. And then after all this stuff, a little bit further down, we're going to launch a show called Ask Ana, actually, which is going to be super fun. I'm excited about that. Yeah, that's going to be. So
I can only imagine the questions that are come your way. You just are involved in so much.
I'm excited about this. The whole concept of that show is it's going to probably be weekly, like we're forming it now. It's going to be like weekly. It's going to be like a cross, like think like Larry King / Joe Rogan, something like that. We're going to look a guest on every week, someone who I think is cool, and
So like a podcast of audio visual podcast, or like a set and you have guests come watch.
Both.
Oh,
yeah.
cool.
Yeah. And so we're going to have people like big sports guys, big business guys, whatever it is, someone like wacky. And they come on, and then we're going to use that person as a vehicle of conversation to discuss what's happening in the world, but like in a nonpartisan. Look, I hate all political parties. I don't affiliate. So a nonpartisan, information, context-driven way of what's happening in the world, because there's a lot happening in the world. It's going to keep happening. Like this is writing itself. So we're going to basically go over what's happening in the world, and then tie it into also what that person is doing, and then announce the guest a week in advance. Have people send in questions, pick them, discuss them with the guest, that type of thing. So the whole purpose of this is to like shape the future by like putting what's happening in within that positive trajectory of humanity, not spreading fear, and like bringing some clarity to the world with like a cool guest. And also people who are interested in like that offer, I think, an example of what's possible, which is also really important. So
I love it. I love it. Now this is going to be, you have the name. How do people find you? How do people pay attention and watch for this?
So that's gonna be announced. That's not ready yet, but it'll be announced everywhere. So I'm on Instagram as on analytics. Find me there. Twitter, same thing, or LinkedIn. But this will be announced when it comes out. I'm excited about it. It's all forming. But this is after these next few things, a few months out. It'll be fun.
Yeah. Good luck sleeping.
I know.
It's never going to happen for you.
You know me so well already.
It's not happening.
I know.
It is not going to happen.
I mean, if I didn't train a lot, if I don't train a lot, like I don't need to sleep. It's a funny thing. Training like helps me sleep actually. Otherwise I don't get so tired.
It's true though. I sleep better. Trust me, I don't train. And even if I did, it would be nothing like what you do. But I do, when I do something physical, I totally sleep better. My brain is at peace. Oh wait, I mean, I've always been an athlete and a dancer and things like that. So don't get me wrong. I'm a soccer player. I snorkel, scuba dive. Like I'm outdoorsy. I hike and all that stuff. But when I have a really active day, when my brain is just on fire, I sleep like a baby.
Yeah, exactly.
And I fall asleep quick. So
yes, you fall asleep quick. You're out. It's great because it's like time to rest. It goes from energy to
I love it. Well, again, everything Ana talked about, I will make sure it's in the show notes below the video, all the links, all her social media, so you can keep up to date. I can't wait. We got the inside scoop on a show that's coming, and just what she does on a business perspective. And if you want to know anything about fitness, this girl knows what she's talking about, because just like I said, just look at her Instagram, you'll know. But I'll make sure everybody's linked up. And Ana, I cannot thank you enough. You are so intelligent and fun and just normal to talk to, and you just have so much ahead of you, and we're all going to benefit from it. So thank you.
Oh, thank you so much. I really appreciate that. You know what you just said? I think that I often think about how we spend our time and all those things. It's in life, like there are no pockets in the grave. We're all going to die, right? So then it comes down to a question of how did you spend your time and did you enjoy it, right? And that's one of those things that I always come back to. And I think that one of our greatest currencies in life is the effect we have on others. Otherwise, why are we here?
Yes. Pay it forward.
1,000,000% true. No, and we're all lucky to be alive now. And just if there's anything I tell people is just cut the negativity out of your head. Don't watch the news. and just chart your own path in life. And really, like, we're lucky to be alive now. And just whatever you want to achieve in this life, it's in your head. And if you believe it, you can make it happen. And the rest, anyone criticizing you, you know, what's the old quote? They're doing less than you, and that's their own scarcity. So just keep it moving forward.
Ah, I love it. Great way to end this podcast. Anna, thank you so much. Anna, Analytics Miami, and a lot of other stuff. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Hey everybody, I have to tell you, I have now discovered the best pillowcase. It's 100% pure mulberry silk pillowcase by ANVO. Their sheets are amazing, but now their silk pillowcases is even more amazing. First of all, they're invisible stitching and they have a side zipper, so your pillow doesn't fall out, it doesn't move, it stays in the pillowcase. You can wash it, you can dry it, it's fade resistant. It is better for your hair, for your skin. I don't wake up with frizzy hair. Trust me, I have some frizzy hair. It helps with the frizzy hair. It keeps me cooler. I'm telling you, I am loving this. The ANVO sheets are amazing. The silk pillowcase, off the charts. They come in multiple sizes. I have the king. I have it in dark gray. They have silver, blue, white. Go to the link down below. I have to tell you, you're going to love it. So many sizes. It's absolutely beautiful. Your skin feels better. Your hair looks better. You're going to love it. Go ANVO. Thank you. Hi, everybody. Look down below. Click the red subscribe button. Thank you so much.